This wasn't just love, it was an assignment from heaven. That feeling in your chest, the one you couldn't explain, wasn't romance, it was recognition. Was it a coincidence? Or was it a covenant? Was it attraction? Or was it alignment? Did you fall in love? Or were you sent into it? Stay, because what you're about to hear may explain the ache you've carried in silence, the sleepless nights, the sudden peace, the connection that felt too divine to be random, and too heavy to be human. This isn't just a video, it's a scroll being unsealed. And if you've ever wondered why you couldn't settle, why chaos felt familiar but peace felt foreign, the answer is buried in the way heaven marks what belongs to you. Welcome to Chosen One Sanctuary, where the hidden are revealed and the marked are remembered. Isaiah 34:16 says, "Not one will be missing, for his mouth has commanded, and his spirit has gathered them." When God chooses someone for you, the stars realign, the atmosphere shifts, and your soul whispers, "This is it." But before that moment comes, there are signs, sacred signs. Stay until the very end, because the revelation you are about to receive may explain why every counterfeit had to fail, and why your spirit has been waiting for something it could never name. Stay, because the signs that are about to unfold may explain your entire life. The atmosphere shifts, the arrival of peace beyond understanding. It begins in silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence that speaks. The moment their presence enters your life, your soul exhales before your mouth even says a word. Something sacred settles over you like a blanket woven by unseen hands. It doesn't shout, it steadies. When God chooses someone for you, He confirms it not with noise, but with peace. This peace is not passive. It is not shallow comfort or distraction. It is alignment. It is divine order manifesting in human form. Your body may not understand it, but your spirit does. The confusion you lived with for years suddenly dissolves. The storm in your chest calms. Not because the world changed, but because the one sent to walk beside you just arrived. Philippians 4:7 says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." That's not just poetry, that's prophecy in motion. When peace enters and stays, when it roots itself deeper than emotion, it's not a feeling, it's a confirmation. You weren't losing your mind, you were losing everything that wasn't sent. Now ask yourself this: when they speak, does your soul feel seen, or does it brace for impact? The calling aligns. Purpose meets. Purpose, love from heaven, never shows up empty-handed. It doesn't just fill the void, it fuels the mission. When God assigns someone to your life, they don't replace your calling. They revive it. They become a mirror, not to your past, but to your future. This is not about compatibility. It is about commissioning. Amos 3:3 asks, "Can two walk together unless they have agreed to do so?" That agreement is not emotional, it's eternal, formed before time, written into your scroll. When your life finally intersects with theirs, it is not two people colliding, it is two destinies converging. Watch how their presence sharpens your vision, how your prayers shift from survival to strategy, how you stop begging God for direction and start moving in it. And that's not romance, that's alignment. You weren't lonely, you were being preserved for this divine pairing, because what you're called to do cannot be carried with just anyone, only someone whose hands were formed for the same plow. Comment 404 if your spirit is still listening. Let heaven know you recognize the signal. Because when purpose meets purpose, the atmosphere doesn't just shift, the earth responds. The covenant is protected. Divine defense in the midst of attack. Every God-ordained relationship will be tested, not because it's weak, but because it's dangerous to hell. When heaven sends, hell surrounds. The enemy's goal is simple: to sever what God sealed. And the proof that God is in it is not the absence of warfare, but the presence of protection. When misunderstandings melt through sudden moments of peace, when sabotage is stopped before it spreads, when spiritual attacks hit the wall and bounce back in silence. Isaiah 54:17 echoes like thunder. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. It doesn't say weapons won't form, it says they won't win. Think of Joseph, betrayed, sold, forgotten, but positioned. God used betrayal to transport him to his destiny. The attack was part of the alignment, and the same hand that covered Joseph is covering you. Look closely. How many moments could have ruined the connection, yet didn't? That wasn't luck. That was divine intervention. The storm did come, but the house still stands. Darkness confrontation. Why hell targeted your heart? Let's name it plainly. You were attacked early not because you were weak, but because you were marked. The enemy saw the oil before you saw the mirror. That's why he went after your innocence, your trust, your ability to receive love. He wanted to twist your perception of covenant before covenant ever arrived. For some of you, chaos became familiar, abuse normalized, love confused with performance. Because if the enemy could associate pain with intimacy, he could cause you to reject the very thing God would send to heal you. This is war, not of flesh, but of assignment. David wasn't hunted because he was insignificant. He was hunted because he was anointed. So are you. The depth of your early wounds is the blueprint of your future reach. And the deeper the cut, the clearer the call. You weren't abandoned. You were preserved. Now the darkness is trembling, because what it tried to distort is being restored. The fire within grows. Identity becomes. Activation. The one God sends doesn't soothe your fears. They burn them off. You don't shrink in their presence. You rise. You don't have to fight for space. You're given it. You don't have to beg to be seen. You're recognized. This is not love that takes. This is love that unlocks. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." The sharpening might not feel soft, but it's sacred. It calls the warrior out of the wounded. It resurrects the voice you buried. Watch how you pray differently around them, how you dream bigger, how you confront your own fear with new boldness. That's the fruit of a holy partnership. You'll know it's divine not because it's easy, but because it transforms you. Not into someone new, but into who you were always meant to be. The wait was worth it. God was preserving your destiny. Delay wasn't denial. It was defense. God wasn't keeping you from love. He was keeping love from being tainted. He didn't just want your heart protected. He wanted your assignment preserved. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose." Not all relationships work for your good. Not all hands can hold your scroll. You weren't just waiting for someone who loves you. You were waiting for someone who understands what loving you requires. God was not slow. He was surgical. Now you stand here. Scarred, yes, but whole. And heaven is whispering, "Now." The remnant rises. You are not the only one. You were never alone in your conviction. All across the earth, others like you have been hidden, refined, and are now emerging. You were never crazy for holding out for more. You were never weak for walking away from what didn't align. There is a remnant, and you are part of it. Malachi 3:16 says, "Then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another, and the Lord listened and heard." This isn't just about finding one person. This is about finding your tribe, your people, those whose love is intercession, whose standards are sacred, who speak the same heavenly language. Your story matters, and when it is joined with others like it, a movement is born. You are being prepared not just for partnership, but for legacy. The echo awakens. Love that transforms generations. When God writes your love story, it's not just for your joy. It's for your impact. This kind of love leaves ripples. Children will feel it. Cities will shift from it. Ministries will birth from it. Generational curses will break because of it. Your alignment creates echoes in the spirit. And what was once a private battle becomes a public banner of God's faithfulness. They won't just love you. They'll water the garden you thought was barren. And through your union, a harvest will rise. Not just for today, but for eternity. Let that sink in. You weren't just waiting for love. You were being positioned for partnership with purpose. This wasn't delay. It was divine strategy. God wasn't hiding you from love. He was hiding love for you until you were ready to recognize it not by emotion, but by alignment. And now, heaven is whispering. You, chosen one, have walked through silence that felt like abandonment, only to discover it was God preparing the atmosphere. You have endured counterfeits, confusion, and the aching in between, because what is coming could not be contaminated. The one God sends isn't coming to rescue you. They're coming to run beside you. So when they arrive, you will not hesitate. Your spirit will rise in recognition. This is not just the end of waiting. This is the unsealing of your next assignment. You have been preserved. You have been purified. And now, you are being aligned. If this word confirmed what your spirit already knew, comment 7-7 below as a prophetic act of agreement. Let us hear your voice. Share what part stirred your soul, or what awakened something sacred inside you. And if this message felt like it was written just for you, it's because you're not alone. Subscribe and stay connected to Chosen One's Sanctuary. Because around the world, the remnant is rising. And so are you. You are not alone. You are the next echo.